A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to a wet and windy Ballinamore in Leitrim today. Today I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Natasha Gillis. Now, for those of you that don't know Natasha is Diamond Events and Diamond Nutritions, and she has loads and loads for us to talk about. I'm also hopeful that Tim McCain from the Northern Ireland Business Group will be joining us a little bit later on. He's been slightly delayed at a meeting, and hopefully he'll be in to talk to us a little bit about what's happening in the north. But we'll start off with yourself, Natasha, if you'd like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, etc.
Hi, my name is Natasha Gillies. I have been the Managing Director of Diamond Events for 22 years now. And lots to talk about the industry, lots to talk about how we got through a pandemic, a recession and a pandemic now. So that's impressive, we held in there. Also the owner and founder of Diamond Nutritionists. I have been studying nutrition since I was 19 when I got a diagnosis that I was diabetic, and I started looking into nutrition. And I cured myself with food, actually. Didn't take the tablets they wanted me to take. And 4 times I've been diagnosed in my life, 3 times wrongly diagnosed, I might add. And 4 times I healed myself with food. And there's something in it, So I've been studying it personally, since I was 19. So early 40s now, so quite a while. But through the pandemic, I got a great chance to actually get qualified, because being in events, group gatherings, there was no group events. There was nothing happening for a whole year and a half. And so I had the time to get qualified in nutrition science, which means nutrition science, everything that I would learn and everything that, I got qualified in would be backed up with science. So it's not, you rub something on your earlobe and it gets better. It might not. It's factual stuff, and I like science. It was very interesting. So I got qualified in nutrition science. I also then went on, did another course and got qualified in eating psychology, which is fascinating, I might add. Why do people do the things that they do? Why do they eat the way they eat? And I think the two combined kept me kind of busy during lockdown, and I suppose the brain's sort of still working, and you're, something interesting to talk to people about, rather than what did you do today? Well, nothing, because I'm not working. So for me, it's kind of a no-brainer, really. But events are back, which is fantastic. I will say, Rory, it's been very, very sad to see some of the people that I've worked with for sometimes over 2 decades, and they've changed jobs, they've sold off their equipment. Some of the venues that we were very close with, they've closed their doors for good as well. So through all of this, we've had to kind of redo our vendor list a lot. Got some new great vendors. Absolutely, very sad to see some of the others go. They ended up some of them studied like myself, and they changed their position. I studied to keep my brain active more than anything else, something I was interested in. But some people had complete career changes due to the pandemic. Understandably, they were explained to me they've mortgages, they've children to feed, so I completely understand. But for Diamond Events, we were always going to be there. We were never going to fold, do something else. I kept myself occupied. But definitely Diamond Events is something I grew from absolutely nothing. It is my second child. I love it like a child. So it was very, very sad that I couldn't work. And I think we'd all agree there was a pandemic and group gatherings were not a good idea. But I'm thrilled it's back. I'm absolutely I am over the moon. I can't even explain how good it is to be back working. So it's really, really positive. Over to yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, well, as I said, with the whole entertainment thing, what is the mood in among those that are still out there? Are they feeling
such excitement? A lot of sadness for the people that we can't work with anymore, that we've been working for, like I said, up to 2 decades. And there is a sadness, but those people have gotten other jobs, they're okay. You get new vendors, like I say, but the general feeling, to answer your question, is very, very, I would go as far as saying explosive. it's like the people on the phone, they're ringing up, and they've credit with us. They've kept credit with us. They didn't get the deposits. Some people we gave deposits back. Some people kept credit. So the people that are ringing us now on the phone have absolutely, they're thrilled to be finally, booking with us and getting their date again, whether it's a wedding, whether it's communion, christening, confirmation, a birthday party, it could be, retirement party, anything. They are booking and they're excited. But the people whom I work with are also like, you can't even explain how excited it is. When you're an entertainer, especially entertainers, there's you go into a room, and the whole reason you're an entertainer is to make that room a better place. It's to give happiness. It's obviously money to live and work, but the sole function of an entertainer is to entertain. And if you cannot do that, and you've been doing this your whole life, I think there's a great sadness in that. Great sadness.
Absolutely. Well, you've certainly made an impact on somebody there. We've had a message from Joanne Griffin.
Hello, Joanne.
Amazing resilience and adaptability, Natasha. So
thank you.
Right. So absolutely, is that? Yeah. No.
And I will actually share something with you, Joanne. My mental health was not good. My mental health was quite bad actually through all this, because I started work when I was 8 years of age, and I will be completely vulnerable in saying this, so nobody else thinks I'm Wonder Woman. Yes, resilient, yes, but I'm human, I found it very, very difficult not to work for a year and a half. Like I said, I went back and I studied and did things to keep my mind active, but I really struggled very badly actually through that. Yeah. Just so other people don't think that like I'm the superwoman and yes, there is resilience, but I think they have to be very honest about that. So it will make other people who've been in a similar situation, because the hospitality industry, the travel and tourism industry, and the entertainment and events industry have just been so much of them wiped out. I mean, only the really big guys are left. So, but there was a huge sadness. But we're back, so I have to smile.
That's the main thing. Like, you haven't gone away, and
no.
And again, like through my work as an accountant, I work with quite a number of people in the entertainment industry, and I know exactly how difficult it's been for them.
Yeah.
And some who've had, like you've said, who've had to close, and when they've had to make that decision to say, look, that's it, I just can't do any more to keep going.
Yeah.
Which really is.
It's like everybody said the same thing to me, Natasha. I have to get out of this. Nothing's opening soon. We're still in lockdown level 5, and this is what I was hearing from other entertainers and other venues as well, and my suppliers. We do everything for parties. Like we do, Ferris wheels, big giant 6-foot Ferris wheel with candy. We would do the venues, we would do marquees, we do tables and chairs, we do LED floors, we do entertainment, we do catering, we do everything you'd imagine that goes into a party, except for bouncy castles. We don't do them. I think they're quite dangerous.
Yeah, but I mean, and I think that's part of why you were probably affected so much worse, because you're so wide-reaching in everything you provide, that for that reason it was the case that when it all came tumbling down, it came tumbling down really, really hard. But
yes,
I mean, over the years, I've seen the way you've built it and the amount of time you've put into it. So
I'm going to give a shout out. You're my accountant. You're my 4th accountant, by the way. And Rory, and anyone listening, I swear by him, honestly. He's always there, and if you ever have a question, should I do this or should I do that? Rory, he's always there. He's always on the phone. And if you contact him, he'll always get back to you. 3 other accountants I had, you couldn't even get an email back off the guys. One guy actually got so bad, I actually had to knock on his office and go straight in. His secretary said to me, "Oh, I don't think he can take." I said, "He's taking. I've been trying for 3 weeks to try and get. I really need some information on this." And I basically had to back down his door physically, drive to Dalkey and knock down the guy's door to get some answers. You don't ignore people, but you're very good at that. You respond. Your response is quite good and quite fast. So I like that. Also, you give great information, and you're not afraid to spend time with people. So I'd recommend you to everybody, and I'm always recommending you.
Well, nice to see that another client of ours there has just put up a post. Totally agree. So thank you, Maggie. We appreciate your spending
Hi,
money
Maggie.
with us. Right.
Yeah.
But no, again, as you know, my passion has always been the micro business and to help micro businesses grow in any way I can. Hence why we run the Micro Business Awards. Hence why we have the Micro Business Association to lobby on behalf of micro businesses. But that's a conversation for another day, which we won't have.
No harm to give yourself a shout out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Joanne has a question, and maybe you can answer this for her.
Yeah.
So how can the public support getting the events industry on their feet? Are there new trends emerging?
Okay, so I wouldn't say, Joanne, there's a lot of new trends per se. The trends that were always there are still going to be there. You will get different entertainment, different types of things at parties because the supply and demand, that's an issue at times. Like I know, for example, this Saturday and the following Saturday, we are just completely booked out. Like there's literally nothing else we could offer you. We can't, the food guys they're up the walls busy. We've got all the trucks in the road. We've got, candy floss, slushy machines and popcorn machines. They're all out. We've got everything. It's you couldn't get, a DJ unless it's some, I always say some, Gumtree DJ, or entertainer that's €70 and a few free pints or something. This is sort of one of those guys. If you're going to go and get an actual professional guy, most people this weekend, the following weekend, completely booked out, which is absolutely brilliant. So as for trends go, not so much different there. To answer your second question, about what's the second question? It was how can we support the industry? Very simply, local. Always go local for everything. Lobby. Go to your TDs. Like go to online, go find out their email addresses and, I suppose contact them. I have many times. I actually have it, you're going to laugh, Joanne. I have an email address, right, with every single TD in Ireland. And I once a week, I message them about events. I think if everybody did that, because keep in mind, they have to get votes, don't they? So if you're saying, I'm not going to vote for you if you're not going to help my industry, or I'm not going to, and I think that's the same with any industry. Again, the three that have been most affected, events and entertainment, the tourism and hospitality, the three sectors, the industries that have been so badly affected by this pandemic. But but again, really, that's sort of all you can really do. Throw a party, even if it's in your back garden with a marquee. I think the way to support the events is to have them and parties, because we all need to work and we've been out of work for over a year and a half. So, but like I say, we're booked out this weekend, we're booked out the following weekend. So,
hopefully many more of those between now and Christmas will be booked out as well.
I hope so. And more people are booking now because they haven't had a party in so long.
Yeah. And
they've missed birthdays, they've missed engagements, they've missed whether it's communions, confirmations, Christmas, they've missed their child's first birthday party. We've all been in lockdown. We've all had the same experience. But yeah, throw a party, celebrate.
Hey, come on. At the end of the day, we're Irish. Who needs an excuse for a party?
Exactly. End of pandemic party. There's an idea. I've had 3 of them actually.
Very good.
Yeah.
So we're hearing talk of Garth Brooks coming back to Dublin. And we all remember the chaos that 2014 was.
Yeah.
One of the recommendations that was made at the time during the negotiations on the Garth Brooks concert was that these large events should not be allowed to sell tickets until such time as a license is issued.
Okay, so I have a few kind of thoughts on that. Firstly, I wouldn't be Garth Brooks' biggest fan, but that's not the point, right? The point is, should this be allowed to happen? My personal view is no. You need a license to do this. Get the license first. I think it's sharp practice. It's, because if you sell a lot of those tickets and you can't get a license, what then?
Yeah. Oh, well,
people are going to want their money back. But not everybody's going to come get their money back. So you've probably made a few thousand, maybe 20, 30,000, 50,000, I don't know, of people that go, oh, I'll do that again. I mean, that's money for nothing. So that's technically, I would see that as nearly theft. It's not quite theft, but I would not conduct business like that at all. Right. Like, we don't even do bouncy castles because they're dangerous. Like, you have to have ethics in business, I think, as well. I think selling tickets before you have a license it's not ethical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on that though, I mean, with the fact of how badly the entertainment industry has been affected,
I think it definitely should go ahead, but with a license.
Right, but would it have been a better plan to say, you know what, we're going to bring a whole load of small Irish entertainers and we're going to have an end of pandemic festival in Croke Park?
That would support the industry. Back to Joanne's question, yeah, that would have been actually a great way to support the industry. Brilliant, that's a great idea, Rory. But, you know, they want to bring in Garth Brooks, fine, but why can't we also have that as well? Like, if it was me, I'd have parties all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's my thing.
Maybe we'll drop President Higgins a couple of messages and ask him would he give us a bit of space?
I email him every week. I email the man every week. Seriously. Yeah. So well, the secretary, doubtfully he's probably ever read one of them, but.
Yeah. Right. So before we get into the much more deeper side of talking about food psychology and all of that, the question that every single guest gets asked on this show is, what is your favourite light bite lunch?
Favourite light bite lunch? Oh, actually, it's a bit of a weird one. Okay, I have two, so I can never choose between the two. I make my own falafel from chickpeas, right? And I boil up the chickpeas. I do it all from scratch, and I put in like loads of herbs and spices, more Indian spices, and I kind of put it into like a little burger, and I just in a little bit of olive oil on a pan. You slowly cook it, and it's absolutely delicious. Really, really healthy, very filling, loads of fibre, loads of protein, loads of nutrients. And I make my own beans, weirdly enough. It sounds very strange to say, well, you can buy, you know, beans. And I make up from real tomatoes. I make up my own tomato sauce. You wouldn't believe the amount of sugar, artificial flavours, colourings, preservatives that are in beans. It's actually, they're so bad for you. But the bean itself is very good. So, I make up my own beans, and then I just put one organic egg with that. And like, it's not a huge amount, but it's enough you feel like you've been really bold. You feel like you've had a fry up, but actually you've just eaten really healthy food. So that's number one. Number two would be, I always go for turkey over chicken because it's leaner, but it's also got a little bit more nutrients. It's a bit better for you. Although chicken is brilliant for you, so that's really good. And I put that on, it's wakame. It's like a seaweed, right? So, and just drizzle some, you know, balsamic vinegar, or, you know, you can put some rocket with that and some little baby tomatoes and things like that. It's delicious, really tasty.
That's
very healthy.
Very, very nice indeed.
Yeah.
Right. Well, before we get into the really heavy part of the discussion about food sciences, I know, but on all of that, we're just going to very quickly do this. As we all do, like a good party, then remember that on the 9th of October is the finals of the Micro Business Awards. And if you would like to join the Zoom chat on the night, all you need to do is swing over to Eventbrite and search for Micro Business Awards. The tickets are totally free, and we will have some lovely door prizes available on the night as well. So we'll be doing it based on your ticket number when you've actually booked, and there'll be a draw on the night. We have numerous sets. We've Kinnar Bridal Headwear has made us some lovely sets of earrings. And they've given us a voucher. We have a pen from Irish Pens. At the moment, I can't think what else. But there's quite a few prizes have come in already. So it's just a little ad there to say swing over. The 9th of October, 7:30 is the finals. And as I said, it's going to be a great night and well worth swinging by. And of course, all the finalists will find out who the winners are as well. And they'll all then be sent out the certs that have been made by Maggie Geraghty from Mayo Calligraphy. So it's a pretty good night. So when it comes to food, Natasha, I know I was chatting with you off air before we started there about the links between depression and nutrition.
Yeah, there is. I mean, if you don't eat the right foods and your body's not...
Actually, sorry, Natasha, I'm just going to stop you there because Tim has just managed to get in and to join us now.
Okay.
Hiya, Tim. Glad you managed to get in to join us.
Terribly sorry I'm late. I just, I got one of those awful things, a client.
Yes. Heartbreaking when the meetings run over. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a couple of minutes, Tim, to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, etc.
Yeah, hi. Well, my name is Tim McCain. I'm based in Belfast and I have lived my whole life here. I've been in marketing and advertising for my whole career. I worked in McCann Erickson in Belfast and then an agency called Fire IMC, which I set up with some other guys. I then moved into the digital world and ran a digital agency for a number of years, and now I'm coaching and consulting on the basis of digital and marketing and communications. I'm active on Twitter politically, and I have a blog, timmccainthinking.com, which is about some thoughts on how to move forward within Northern Ireland. I adopt a position of the radical middle of the road, based on the view that being in the middle of the road is actually takes a lot of thought rather than just abdication, and a lot of the thinking that goes on in Northern Ireland is based around what people have learned as children, and we need to really challenge some of that. I've also been involved in Northern Ireland Screen. I was on the board there for a number of years, and so it was a ringside seat to watch the development of the film industry in Northern Ireland. And I firmly believe that the protocol is an opportunity for us, uncalled for and unwanted, because I don't think Brexit was a good idea at all. But so in a number of areas, I'm opinionated. I think that would be a good way to go. So that's great.
Again, once you're willing to hear what other people's opinions are, there's nothing wrong with being opinionated.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right? And once you're willing to share in others' opinions. As you're a little bit behind, Tim, we'll just catch up with you as to what your perfect light bite lunch would be.
My perfect light bite lunch would be, I have a real love of toast and marmalade, I have to say. Given a luxury of a desert island disc environment, it's hard to beat toast and marmalade. And it's a light bite lunch and it's easy to make and doesn't require any cooking, which is good because I'm not very good at cooking. But sometimes there's just nothing quite like it, a cup of tea and some toast and marmalade.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And now, Natasha, we'll come back to where we were there, just talking about depression and nutrition.
Yeah, there's huge links, and that's been proven. Just hi, Tim, by the way, welcome. Yeah, it's been proven. They say if you eat oysters and mussels, that your mood picks up. But the simple reason for that, and by the way, nobody goes out. Would you agree with this? Like, do you eat, Tim? Do you eat oysters every day?
Eat? No, I don't eat. I don't eat oysters.
Nobody does, right? Nobody's going to go out and eat oysters every day, and they're expensive. So, what is in oysters that actually picks you up and makes you happy? And they say it's an aphrodisiac as well, but it does make you happier. Is zinc. Now, zinc is probably the most, I would say, the most lacking nutrient we have as humans. And the reason for that is we don't go out and eat oysters and mussels, and you need a ridiculous amount of fish, and it's very, very hard to get it from. And it's the reason for male baldness as well, lack of zinc makes your hair fall out. So to give some information, what you can do is take a zinc supplement or a multivitamin with zinc in it, or you can go out and pumpkin seeds, funny enough, are full of zinc. It's the only food apart from fish that you can really get zinc in. So that has a huge effect on your mental health and your immune system as well. But it's been proven that if your mental health is not good, your immune system suffers. So I think everybody should have a little handful of pumpkin seeds every day. Just The natural is good. They're so healthy for you. There's loads of other nutrients in them too. Bananas promote serotonin in the brain, so that's obviously helpful. And B12 is the big one, really, really big one. You get that from mostly red meat, so it'll be like a steak or something. And there's a lot more people are going vegan and vegetarian now at the moment than there ever has been before. So I do suggest you take, I think it's called Sonar. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. Well, all the health shops do them. It's like it looks like this. It's like a little tincture kind of, and you just open it and you just put like this little drops, one of them a day in the morning. Do not take it after lunchtime. You'll be flying. Stuff gives you so much energy. It's actually brilliant. You're happier. Also for your nervous system as well. If you do not have B12, you're going to be a very nervous individual. So yeah, B12 is a huge one. If you like most people, I would only eat red meat once a week. That's not enough. So sometimes I supplement with the B12. So yeah, so B12 and zinc, really, 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 really good for your mental health. And there has been huge studies show niacin as well. Niacin, some people pronounce it as niacin as well. So you can supplement with that too. Huge with your basically your mood as well. But I think depression has a huge amount to do with what's going on around your world. I think it's a huge amount to do with how you could be hormonal as well. That's the other thing. There's a lot of different factors. But if you get the food right, then the rest can sort itself out. But if your food is not good, yeah, you're gonna feel low. Go on.
Yeah, my wife is a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and so I've learned a lot, not deeply, but obviously just knowing. And we start the day. She makes this lovely smoothie, with seeds and things, which what you have to understand, Natasha, which you probably do know very clearly, is that men are stupid. When it comes to seeds and healthy
food,
we have a
I've come across.
Well, I do think we go back to probably the caveman times when the man was out, hunting the woolly mammoth, and the woman was at home with the seeds. And I think we still sort of carry.
I agree. Yeah.
But we start the day with a really lovely smoothie, and it's really tasty. I mean, Margaret makes this lovely one with a lot of good nutrition stuff in it. But she was also working with another doctor for a while on this whole sort of gut mentality thing, there's a big learning curve. Obviously, this. That's that connection where the gut has got so much to do with your mental well-being in a way that it's only really just being recognized to the level.
And of course, she's dealing with adolescents, right? So teenagers are more inclined to eat Burger King and McDonald's and all that sort of food because it's where they hang out and where it's tasty when you're that age. It is tasty, but you've no idea how much sugar goes into the meat. Just let's say McDonald's or Burger King, that's up to, right? Sugar that goes into the meat. Now, this is quite shocking for people when they hear this. Do you know the only thing that could feed a cancer cell, and this is facts, right? You can all check it online, that the only thing that could feed a cancer cell to make it grow or a tumor is sugar. Any idea how much sugar is in a burger, just one burger? They even put sugar in their fries. Like,
but my daughter, if my daughter,
that's why they love it.
The cleverest thing, we have twins, 20 who are 20 now, and my daughter, if I say to her what was the best thing we did as parents, and Lily will tell you, we convinced both Jack and Lily that sparkling water was a treat. So when they were young and we went out to the golf club for lunch or something, they would be going, "Can we have sparkling water?" And Margaret and I would be going, "I'm not sure, you had it last week," but and then they would be going, "Oh, please." And so we created this thing. So they never
brilliant parenting.
They never bought into the Coca-Cola sugary drinks thing because
brilliant.
And it's funny because Lily says, "I still think of it as a treat," and so you can influence your kids in a positive way.
Well, my treat was like with my daughter, who's 24 now. My God, 24. My gosh, and she would always have thought popcorn, homemade popcorn. I don't mean the stuff that you put in the microwave. That's actually really, really bad. It's such trans fat. Our body doesn't even break it down. very cancerous. Don't give that to your kids. So I would make her like with a little bit of olive oil and slowly, and it was the whole, it's popping yet, mum, you know, and it's that kind of thing. That was the treat. It was healthy, really healthy.
Yeah.
It's home cooked popcorn.
It's just it's how you approach it, but that.
And it's fun. It's all popping now, you know.
Yeah. But it's funny. You can get out of habits as well. You know, I broke habits of, you know, I used to would have eaten crisps and drink Coke and things like this, but partly because of the
We all did.
But you can get out of the habit really quite easily. They're not as addictive perhaps as we might think they are.
It usually, there were studies done, actually, this will interest you, just so you talk about there. The studies done on mice and rats, and they were giving, the rats had 3 and the mice had 3 little, like water with things in them. One had, it was class 1 opioid, I think heroin maybe or something, and the other one was sugar, water and sugar solution, and the other one was cocaine. They would they stopped taking the other 2. All they kept doing was wanting to go back to the sugar, because your body, the synapses in your brain literally fires up when you have sugar. Your brain loves sugar because it's the easiest way to get energy into your body. So but it's also the highest GI food, glycemic index food you'll ever have. So it wreaks havoc. It literally rots you. Sugar rots you from the inside out. All these big companies, Coca-Cola, you know, Mars, and all these, they really do. They peddle, you know, sugar, and people are giving this to their kids. It's probably, if I could cut one thing out of everybody's diet, most people would think salt, not sugar.
Yeah. I lost a stone in about 3 months without literally without noticing it. I didn't change, and that's because I stopped milk chocolate, and that was my sort of last addiction was milk. And it wasn't like eating a huge amount, but there's a whole interesting thing you can about this as well when you look at the sheer market. And I've worked in advertising, so I hold my hand up with some.
So you know, yeah.
But whenever I was a kid, like, the big bar of chocolate that your dad got was about a quarter of the size of a pound bar of chocolate. And as little kids, we got smaller bars, and so you weren't
fun sized, yeah.
But a lot of this, as well as people forget, we weren't poor, but there was an economic drive to things. People didn't have much money. And therefore, you didn't go and buy a bar of chocolate you got a treat. I mean, if you were going to have a Coke, you were never having the litre bottle in the fridge was unheard of. It just, you know, a Coke, you had to be out. You didn't even buy it. You didn't get anything in the fridge. Your mum and dad didn't put Coke in the fridge. That, you know, it was a treat. You got one serving when you were out, if you were lucky. You got a bar of chocolate and things. And this sort of and now we live in a world whereby the marketing, but also the fact we can afford these things. You know, you can afford to buy a multi-pack of
the luxuries we take for granted.
Yeah. But the other thing as well is you look at pricing, and this goes into the sort of marketing thing where you look at, and I've seen this. You go into a filling station, and I would have gone in after golf and looked at the bags of crisps, and there's a bag of crisps for 70p that is 35 grams. So it's 2p a gram, and sitting right beside it is a bag of 100 grams for £1. So that's 1p per gram. So you're looking at 70p versus £1. So for 30p extra, you're getting
the super size meat.
You're getting 3 times as much. So you buy the bigger bag, and as a result of buying the bigger bag, you open it, and do you eat 35 grams and put the rest away?
You eat it all.
Of course you do.
It's like I always say, my partner buys biscuits. He can't have 1 or 2. He finishes the packet, so I just don't buy them anymore. I never buy biscuits or cake or... Do you know what I do buy? I buy chocolate. I buy a lot of chocolate, but I buy the 99% cocoa chocolate.
Yeah, I buy dark.
And it's really, really good for you. There's so much nutrients in that. Really good. Yeah. You were saying, was it Margaret or Maggie, your wife?
Margaret,
Margaret, sorry. So Margaret would make you that healthy kind of with seeds and, you know, the smoothie. Very quickly, what I would make my partner would be, so you've got pumpkin seeds, you've got chia seeds, You've got what else? Sunflower seeds, just a few of them. You've got it's raspberries, blueberries. I actually get, you know, like a potato peeler, and I grate the chocolate in. So it's natural low-fat yogurt.
Yeah.
Great for your biome, your gut, and all that. And yeah, that's basically it. You know, so that's so you've got berries, you've got seeds. Oh, I knew there was something else. I put about 4 or 5 almonds in as well, and then I put similar walnuts, 4 or 5 walnuts as well. But like, you don't have to loads and loads of yogurt, but that is so healthy to start the day. It's probably the healthiest breakfast I could come up with.
Yeah.
There we go. So we've lots to think about in that. One little tip, and you probably know this, Natasha, but if you really are craving milk chocolate and you only have dark there, the slightest sprinkling of salt over it, and 1 square will feel like a large bar of dairy milk.
Really?
I didn't know that, actually.
Did you not know that? Well, you can have a try of it later on now. But
Okay.
a small sprinkling of salt over 1 square. Now it has to be 85% or darker to get the real value out of it.
Okay.
And it will give you the taste of a Cadbury's Dairy Milk.
Wow.
So I was watching Modern Family the other day. You know that thing? I love it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, the son, he always puts in his cocoa, he always puts salt. Yeah, so that must be a thing. There you go.
There you go. Just a little something for you.
My goodness.
Now, something, Tim, part of the reason we brought you on, you had a fabulous blog this week in relation to the Northern Ireland Protocol and the chaos that the protocol is causing, and actually a very workable solution to solve it. So why don't you share that with everyone?
Well, I've been engaged in Northern Ireland politics as a person for all my life. And I've been interested in it and sort of had a journey, I suppose, this way and that as I'm sort of learning, and it's a constant learning curve. I was brought up in a Malone Road, a very middle class and unionist background, as in like my father was from Ballymena and my mum was Presbyterian and all of this sort of stuff. And you just grow up in a natural environment. And this is part of the thing that I like to challenge in all of us, is the amount of learning that we have done as children that we never challenge and move away from. And this includes things like diet. But in political sense in Northern Ireland, the 2 tribes are essentially us repeating what our parents believed and what their parents believed, and it goes back, and the sense of belief that each community has, whether it be nationalist or unionist, and their sense of determination in that belief is really just almost an inherited belief, because you start to debate and argue from the position that you start with. So you start, rather than looking at a blank sheet of paper, you start with the whole view of your political thinking is to justify the existence that you have from an early age. And the challenge then, as I say, with the radical middle of the road position is to have an opportunity to look at what is the outcome and what are we actually trying to achieve. So you have one side in Northern Ireland wants to see a united Ireland, you have the other side wants to see remaining part of the United Kingdom. And then you think, okay, well, what are the benefits to us as individuals and to groups of people in that? And then what can you do in the context of what has happened to us to an extent with the protocol? Because even though Northern Ireland voted against Brexit, the outcome of Brexit vote as a UK vote was that Brexit came in, the protocol came in. And I think it's a sort of semi-ironic position of the protocol. If you start to use it as a place to think differently about Northern Ireland, you can see that we could adopt a different position. So and that different position comes from a uniqueness that in Northern Ireland we have now, which we've never had before, which is economic. And that is we can act not completely independently, but act as a gateway in both directions. We are literally like a gate between 2 places. We are an open door for Ireland and the EU into the UK, and we are an open door from GB into Ireland and the EU. Because of the nature, not just an open door, but obviously because we have a foot in both camps, it is an opportunity for us to have something unique. And within that context, it started me thinking about, okay, what is the future of Northern Ireland? And I've written a piece in my blog why unionism is bad for unionists, and the next thing I'm going to write is why nationalism is bad for nationalists. And what I mean by that is both of them are very adopted positions and not really challenging. The thing we have, I believe, in Northern Ireland is we have a uniqueness that we don't recognise in ourselves, and we have a shared history and a shared commonality. Actually, that includes the Troubles. I mean, it's not, you know, a particularly positive shared history, but it is a shared history. Nobody else understands what living in Northern Ireland through the Troubles was like, other than the people in Northern Ireland on both sides of the community. So we do get people in Ireland, and Margaret's from Dublin, so I hear, you know, and with friends of hers, the sort of, I don't want to be, you know, I don't mean derogatory in saying lack of interest, but it was lack of interest. You know, why you don't have an interest day to day in something that's happening somewhere else, and it's the same in GB. I mean, in reality, their interest is sparked when something happens and then fades away very quickly. So we have this position, and I believe that the opportunity to have a radical think about Northern Ireland is joint sovereignty, and I think the solution, which is it could lead to some sort of solution, is that rather than being one or the other, rather than being unionist or, you know, being within the GB or within Ireland, and because it's always been either or, that we actually say both, that we're in GB, we're in the United Kingdom, and we're in Ireland. And we facilitate that with a joint sovereignty solution. That is obviously there's work. There would be a lot of sort of thinking needs to be done to fill this out. But the belief there. So when you're out carrying, I mean, almost as simple as when you're an Irish passport carrier in Northern Ireland, you're in Ireland for you as a person because of the sovereignty of the South. But if you're a British passport holder within Northern Ireland, you're in the United Kingdom. Okay. And that joint element of sovereignty, that would be an agreed position with a view to facilitate the economics of both geographies because of the protocol, but also to facilitate both identities. And that would mean that, you know, you're enabling both sets rather than, because ultimately what you're going to have is a situation, I believe, and as I say, this is all just opinion, but I believe you're going to have a situation, say we reach a stage where the vote, the referendum says we want a united Ireland, you're suddenly left with a disaffected group of people, of about 1 million people who are disaffected. And that could be seen as a win or a solution or the ultimate goal of the nationalists. But you still have those people. They don't go away. You know, they don't suddenly disappear. And it's very difficult to game the outcome of what those people will do or how they will feel. But even within the context of Ireland and the existence of Ireland as the 26 counties, do they really want the political upheaval of suddenly having to facilitate 1 million people who are not voting Fine Gael are voting Sinn Féin potentially, and there's a lot of people will see that the additional 750,000 voters for Sinn Féin, because they have a history of voting for Sinn Féin, might not be what Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael want in an All-Ireland situation. But also that you've suddenly got a block of people who are voting and can hold the balance of power in the Dáil. So, and the other thing I think, and this is pure speculation, I have a kind of sense that in modern Ireland, and I do see it as that sort of 20-year movement of Ireland toward which, you know, one of the first country in Europe to gay marriage, in women's rights, in all of those changes in Ireland, that it shifted from being very conservative Catholic country to one of the most modern, dynamic, youthful, forward-thinking countries in Europe. Is a united Ireland on that agenda in the same way as it was in old Ireland? And I don't know.
Should be.
I don't know if it is. You know,
I think it should be.
A united Ireland should be.
Well, no, I think your proposal is fantastic. I think what you're proposing there is fair for everybody. You always get people that don't agree with it, whatever. But I think nobody wants to go back to the Troubles. I think you'll agree with that. And I think you must have felt, just listening to your story there, I think you must have felt quite isolated. Like Britain didn't want to have much to do with it because it wasn't their problem, and Ireland, kind of, you said they had very little interest because it wasn't happening on their doorstep. So you must have felt quite isolated, really. I just realised that now.
Yeah,
you're part of Britain, but you're part of Ireland, and nobody wants to have anything to do with it.
There is that sense of it's a sort of sense that, and this is felt particularly, and you see sometimes in the anger of unionists more than the nationalists. The difference between nationalism and unionism at the moment is nationalism has something to aim for in the future, and unionism has only seen to something to fight against. Because the whole sort of the development of time is towards a united Ireland, but the solution, the joint sovereignty solution, also involves both sides giving something up. It's it's both sides putting something into the pot and saying, you know what?
I think it's a very good step in the right direction.
Yeah. No, well, in terms of the dual sovereignty, the best example that I can come up with where it has worked is if you look at Crete as one of the Greek islands. Now, if you talk to anyone born and bred on Crete, they will never identify as Greek. They will tell you they are Cretan first. They run their own economy on the island. Now, that money comes from Athens, so it comes from the Greek mainland, but like that, they have that separate sovereignty, and they very much identify as Cretan first, Greek second. So it is possible for it to be done. It's just a case of getting everyone to sit down and agree to talk.
Yeah.
I did actually, by the way, just for clarity, I did invite all the political parties in the North on to discuss this today to see would they be willing to debate it and give us a good reason why it wouldn't work, but unfortunately none of them had a spokesperson available.
Right.
But we will keep trying, and we'll try and get them again in the future.
Yeah, I mean it's and this comes from sort of the work that I've done in the past, where you're looking at sort of creative ideas and you're looking at trying to be disruptive, and to do that, there's sort of methodology. You look at the existing systems and you look and say, okay, well, how do we do something different? And the ultimate goal of all of this is political in a sense, but ultimately it's about prosperity. And it's about saying, and I don't mean prosperity, just economic prosperity. I'm talking about sort of cultural, economic, education, all of those things that we become as individuals more prosperous with our knowledge of each other, with our understanding of things, with the investment that comes into the country. And people hear about the loyalist working class, but the nationalist working class as well. There's absolutely masses of untapped potential in those groups of people that they're getting caught up so much in the identity politics. And this is particularly with the unionists at the moment, I have to say, because again, I go back to natural identity politics. There's no threat to the identity of the nationalist. They can see the goal. Whereas the unionist feels very threatened. The identity which we all have is we're Northern Irish and we are different. And that there's another thing as well. I mean, again, what happens and I think, as I say, part of the thing I'm looking at is writing this thing, why nationalism is bad for the nationalists. And I think nationalists in Northern Ireland haven't gained this through as well, because after a period of time, the nationalists in Northern Ireland will have potentially in a united Ireland what they wanted. And I think they might get a little bit antsy because nobody doesn't really care what they think anymore. And I don't mean that in a negative thing. I'm just saying for nationalists, they become like Limerick. And with no disrespect to Limerick, we've good friends in Limerick, but you know what I mean, Rory? They become just another part of Ireland. And what happens for nationalists in a united Ireland, the most important people in the north of the country suddenly become the unionists again. So It's almost counterintuitive. It's the idea you actually empowering the unionists more. Right.
But there's also, from the financial aspect, and again, this is the accountant in me coming back out, from the financial aspect, the Republic cannot afford to support Northern Ireland in terms of their healthcare, their pension packages, their social welfare. The UK on their own cannot afford to support Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Right? So, in that sense, deciding that it is going one way or the other exclusively is bad for Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
because they're able to enjoy this extra money's coming in. And it's something that I think we're going to have to watch very closely. And after your next piece, Tim, we probably have to get you back on again at some point in the future, because you're a mine of information on all of this and you can bring us all up to date. I mean, something that I've seen this week that has been done in the North, and I think it's a brilliant initiative, is these vouchers they're giving to everyone, or these credit debit cards, £100 per person. Now, I don't know, you might be able to update us, Tim. Is this based on if you are vaccinated, or is this just across the board £100 each?
It's nothing to do with vaccination. They haven't.
Right.
I think that would be a minefield. You know, it's there's a number of forms to fill in that you're going to have to do online, and of course, people are looking for some of the negatives on it and saying, you know, it'll be complex, and there's an element of it. They're saying that, you know, there'll be a rush at the beginning that will probably jam the system up over a period of time. But generally, it's going to pretty much everybody over the age of 18. And it's a clever scheme, because while the media quote the cost, it's the majority, and the one issue that some people have, but they quote the cost and say it's going to cost X, you know, 150 million, whatever it's going to cost. But the only thing you can do with it is spend it in the local economy.
Yes.
So by giving that boost to local retailers, shopkeepers, cafes, restaurants, business service, I mean, you can spend it in a wide range of things, as long as there's the bricks and mortar in Northern Ireland. And I think that once that money is spent in the economy, and I mean, a lot of it filters back in and starts to circulate, and that's the plan. There's a little bit of sort of concern about you can use it for Tesco and things for your weekly shopping. But if there's people who need to use it for their shopping, then that's okay. But I have a separate little thing called, and I run a Facebook group called NI Business, and we have over 40,000 people in that. And a sub thing of that is, we call it the Big NI Market, and it's like a marketing thing. People contribute £10 a month, and then we put all the money together and run advertising to market the overall market, and then in which case what they get is the visibility of that. But what we're doing is promoting that to consumers to spend their vouchers locally, and find things that maybe there's lots of arts and crafts places. There's so many businesses and things that the ordinary consumer won't necessarily think about or see. But for some people, it might be a chance, an opportunity, if they got £100 that they don't need for something else, to actually pop into a local art gallery for the first time, or something different.
Exactly like that. A group I was talking to in the North recently, and that was what I actually said to them, is when you do get this voucher, go down, look at those little independent shops that you've often said, oh, I must look in there someday, and go in, have a look. You might just be surprised at what you'd find.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, every home that you go to has got, and again, I sound very sexist about this because I said men are stupid and women, but men don't buy cushions generally. But I look where I live, and it's a lovely home, and it's been Margaret. She comes in, and men, we go, Jesus, more cushions, and then you sit down and you go, gosh, this looks lovely, don't you? So but those, and it's an opportunity to think about, and the local manufacturing as well. And I mean manufacturing from the lowest level, from people who are, there's so many wonderful small businesses in Northern Ireland producing all sorts of things. And that's even food as well, rather than go to Tesco for some food shopping, go to a local shop and spend it there. It's even if it's a butcher, and you
absolutely.
Support of the community.
Yeah, and that's what it's designed for, and I think it's a great initiative. The challenge will be to get it to work. It's like anything on this scale, but here I think they hopefully have put the right bits and pieces in place to make.
Pity we don't get €100.
Well, now hold on. In fairness, Natasha, in the North they didn't get a pandemic unemployment payment.
Oh, okay. I actually did not know that.
Yeah,
That's
no,
disgraceful.
well, across the UK in general, which includes Northern Ireland, if my memory serves right, I think it was just over 4 million self-employed people who received no support through the pandemic.
God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they think this is a great incentive to come out of it at this stage, and hopefully these £100 vouchers will save some of those businesses that were closed for all that time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Gosh, that's tough.
Yeah, right. Well, time is very quickly running out on us, so there is one more thing I really wanted to get advice from both of you, because you've both so many years of experience. If somebody was
saying I'm old, is it?
I was thinking the same thing. How many years?
No, it's experienced. It's
Right.
the years of wisdom.
Wisdom.
Okay, we let
That's
you
exactly
on.
it. Yeah. So what I want to ask both of you, and either of you can answer first, whichever suits you. If somebody comes to you and says, look, I have this wonderful idea for a business, what would you think? What advice would you give them?
Usually the first thing to do is to think it through a bit more. For a start, when people have wonderful ideas for business, the word they're using in there that's a bit more difficult than they ever could imagine is business. Running a business isn't easy. I'm rubbish at running a business. I'm very confident in what I do. Otherwise, the bit whenever it comes to working for people and providing them with marketing and consultancy services, but the business piece I'm terrible at. But the other thing then to do when you have an idea is you have to stress test it. You have to go online and look at who else is doing something similar. But people who have ideas for business it's great. I mean, it's wonderful to have innovation. But the first thing is to do is come and talk to somebody who's got experience. Probably, and I think Invest Northern Ireland offer that service in the north, where you have ideas, you can go and talk to somebody, and they will give you some things. But I have a friend in Invest Northern Ireland, one of the senior guys, Jeremy, and I was talking to him one day, and I was saying the problem that you have with something like Invest Northern Ireland, you've left brain, right brain, and right brain is all the innovation thinking, and a lot of people have brilliant ideas, and they go to Invest Northern Ireland. The first thing they're asked to do is fill in forms.
Yeah.
And for a lot of right brain people, filling in forms is absolutely the last thing they want to.
That's me, yeah.
Or are able to do. Yeah, and Natasha, and I've said to Jeremy, I find filling in forms stressful. Not I just don't want to do it. It's stressful. Actually stressful. I
leave it to the last minute possible.
There's a guy coming to the door. Just give me 1 second.
On your ground.
Go ahead, Natasha.
I'll just fill in like a second. The first thing I would do is say, kind of very similar to what he was saying, Tim, because go stress test it, know who your competition are, know where your profit margins are, like do all your homework on this. Is this something in the market that is completely new, brand new? I would just say try it. You can get grants. Irish government are quite good. Go to Leo, they're quite good for grants. They'll give you a startup package and things like that. I think it's 5,000. But they change all the time, so you've got to find out yourself. And the second thing I do after that is get it. And I'm not just saying this because you're my accountant, but get a good accountant, because you have saved me a fortune over the years. You really have, absolute fortune. So, and I love the way you say, and it's very true, it's not tax evasion, it's tax avoidance. Do it legally, but,
it's know your entitlements.
No, exactly, yeah, but that's why I hire you. You do, I haven't got a clue. But you told me so many things that I didn't know, that like my 3 prior, accountants wouldn't have helped me. They said, what did you take in, what did you put out, and that was kind of it. But they were like, you always say, but did you know about this?
Yeah,
and that'll save you a few €100. And did you know about this? And all of a sudden you're down a few grand in your tax bill. You're going to go, whoa, that's great. It. So yeah, definitely get a good accountant. But also your point as well there about stress testing is so important. I would actually go in and say a third thing really quickly. Don't listen to the naysayers. They're fearful. You're not. Go do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, now I'm
Sorry, can I just add one wee thing?
Go ahead, Tim.
And the one thing, and this sounds like self-interest, but it's actually true, is start thinking about the marketing when you're thinking about your idea. Because what happens in particularly in Great Britain and Ireland is that people sort of get the product up and running, and then they think about the marketing, and then they try to do it as cheaply as possible, and they haven't really built that in at a proper level. And I would suggest, obviously I would, but I genuinely believe the marketing is one of the central planks of the success of any business. And you will see in America, all those guys who started in garages, they all seem to start with the idea of a brand and the marketing as an integral part. And I mean marketing as in looking at competitors and looking at the whole thing as well. But they think...
Unfortunately, there we are out of time. I'm being waved at here by the director to say we've gone over time. Thank you very much to both Natasha and Tim for joining us. In 2 weeks' time, you actually mentioned there about Leo. We actually have a very special show when we're being joined by both Leo and Social Welfare, Department of Social Welfare, to talk about the various supports that are there for micro businesses, both new and established. So we will be back in 2 weeks' time, and we look forward to seeing you all then. Again, Tim, Natasha, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.